G'day guys. This is a video on the Candida and, sort of what I did, what sort of interventions did I use to deal with it in the past. So this is not medical advice. This is just basically stuff that I've used to deal with my own Candida outbreak a couple of years back. So I will just provide that information, and what people do with that is their business. If they should always consult a physician before making any decisions or using anything that somebody else may have used. So let's get into it. I'll just basically share my screen. This is the product that I used, which was Infused Candida. It's Harmonic Enterprises that actually produces it. What they do, they use electromagnetic energy to basically infuse the compounds and specific herbs into the water. It's a proprietary technology which they've developed and specifically, and also they do have other infused products for testosterone and estrogen, like dealing with xenoestrogens and stuff like that. But as I've said in the past with xenoestrogens, the cheapest way is choline, and just take a couple of grams of choline and methylating it away, or eating some additional eggs and adding a bit more choline into your diet is the cheapest methylation way in that regard. If people want to sort of go for like a big hit approach, they could probably take this together with choline and sort of and then just use choline then onwards from there to basically maintain good levels of balanced and eliminating sort of the xenoestrogens out of their life, so to speak. But this is the one that we're actually dealing with primarily, and it's this product here. So the nice thing about this product is you don't get any heremia reactions. I think it's spelled like, and it basically, what that means is you don't get these sort of like rashes and outbreaks, and sometimes when you get die-off, you get like severe, you can actually get reactions and all sorts of things, and even tachycardia. You can get all sorts of symptoms and nausea and vomiting, and you name it. This product, none of these effects when I actually used it, and so from my own experience, I can't claim that you will have the same sort of experience. I'm just actually stating what I had in that regard. So they do claim here that it basically will kill the actual Candida in just 3 days. I think that isn't, you shouldn't be using those terms, because even in their laboratory experiments where they did sort of independent experimentation with Midwest Laboratories in Nebraska, they basically said that it inhibited in the dilutions. So it did reduce it quite a bit and inhibited, but saying that it killed it completely is probably a high mark in that regard. They do have some good information here, stating that Candida albicans is a naturally occurring genus of yeast that lives in the intestinal tract with many other organisms known as probiotics. And that is, it's not only in us, it's in other animals as well. It does exist, and that's true. And Candida begins to multiply over, especially when you've got things that become a bit wonky in your gut microbiome. They can multiply and overpopulate. And the key triggers, well-known triggers: pharmaceutical antibiotics, birth control pills. I would add to that glyphosate as well, because it has antibiotic mimicking properties, and that is, I don't need to prove anything. Actually, the company Monsanto, which is owned by Bayer now, they have an actual patent, an international patent for antibiotic effects of their product. So that's the company itself having taken a patent now to protect the antibiotic effects of glyphosate. So maybe in the future, when they can't use it in agriculture, they're going to use it as an antibiotic. They could. So it's like taking antibiotics every day. That's going to have an effect on your gut microbiome, wouldn't you think? Yes. those lovely processed plants. So a diet dominated in processed foods, obviously that's going to disturb your gut microbiome. Sugar, obviously, because we only had seasonal sugar, and very little of it traditionally. Alcohol, yes, another interesting source, and that it pretty much makes these conditions worse. Candida overgrowth they claim is at epidemic levels, undiagnosed and stuff like that. These are claims. You need to back claims up with with proof, as I'm saying. But people do suffer. They've got a link to that study. Now, what else did I do? Now, I took this as a cleanse, but I added to that. Obviously, I did the 3. I was doing basically my sort of protocol that I do with the B vitamin complex and vitamin D. But also, this product, if you don't want to buy it from the company direct, and it probably is available in some Walmart stores as well if you're in North America. So you can pick it up from Walmart in that regard. Now, what else did I do? I also used, towards the end, I used this product. Initially, I used this product. That was the product that I used for the majority of period of time. So this is a number of enzymes that tend to basically, they break down the yeast cell walls, and they have an ability to break down the yeast cell walls. And actually, this one is not a bad one as well. It's basically boosts it. It's got lactoferrin. It's got basically a number of other, substances in here that are beneficial for the immune system. Plus, they've actually added additional lactoferrin, and they have this complex of different bacterial strains. Now, if somebody's actually done antibiotics in this period and their bacterial strains have taken a nosedive, they're beneficial ones, a lot of the lactobacillus ones, well, this may be a good option for them in that regard. But other people that may just have an outbreak, but they've still got lactobacillus, they still, and they don't really need it, maybe you could give this a miss. This is optional. This is optional in that regard. That could help with, dealing with rebalancing. So getting back some of the beneficial bugs that can keep Candida under control. So that's more or less in that regard. There are other lactoferrin products here if you want to boost your immune system. I used to use this Jarrow one, but I tend to use this more expensive one because of the high quantity. But I do use it for other purposes as well. But that will be in later videos. But pretty much that's an option. That's a definite one you want to be using. You want to be using this with this. So you want to be basically attacking it on a 2-prong attack. So you want to be using these enzymes that are going to basically, weaken the cell walls of the Candida, and you basically want to use this to deal with them. So it's a 2-prong attack that I sort of used to deal with Candida. And so following with it consuming also, Candida is also controlled by taurine. So higher doses of taurine tend to improve the gut microbiome and also improve the suppression of Candida and bring it under control. So I would combine all those into that mix in that regard. That's pretty much it, guys. So it's really the cleanse and the Candida cell wall breakers. And obviously, you should be basically adding also to improve gut microbiome, beneficial probiotics, especially if you've been just on a recent course of antibiotics, which has caused this flare up, this outbreak. Plus, vitamin D is very important for the immune system because the immune system can actually control and keep under control some of these pathogens. So if you don't have a good vitamin D status, that can be an issue as well in keeping candida under control over the long haul, because you need vitamin D to support a lot of those beneficial bacteria that exchange B vitamins, but also which basically require vitamin D to actually remain in larger quantities. So when you've got lower vitamin D status, these beneficial bacteria shrink and become less dominant. And that's not what you want. You want good level. This is why our ancestors were out there getting taurine, which regulates the gut microbiome really well. And also the entire digestive system is regulated very well with taurine. Plus, you basically want to have the beneficials around, which basically means, you know, your sun salt and meat is the concept that we want to, that ancestral approach, which is going to basically give you the best long-term benefits in that regard. These are basically interventions. These are not for everyone. These are just people that are suffering with candida, and they know that they're actually suffering. They can actually see the symptoms, you know, and they've actually even been diagnosed. So this is their option, because, you know, taking the antibiotic approach, I found myself, didn't work for me. It just didn't work. We know why, because it disturbs my gut microbiome, and it actually just unleashes even more overgrowth. You really have to suppress and bring under control the candida. And so really strong immune system and things that deal with candida, you know, these sort of supplements are your best combination to basically bring candida under control. You're never going to get rid of candida. That's part of your body, yeast and all that. What you want to turn it back into benign and not pathogenic. That's what you want to do. So you want to suppress it, bring up the beneficial bacteria, and rebalance your gut microbiome with taurine, and then basically whatever you get, then I mean, if you're young, you don't really need taurine because you biosynthesize. It's just initially using a couple of grams to get it up to 4 grams to 6 grams, just to basically really sort out the gut. And then you can just go back to eating meats and stuff like that, you know. For people like myself and others that are getting a bit older, that possibly have more damage and all that, that's a different situation altogether. Hopefully you never get to that point. You basically maintain a more ancestral lifestyle, so your whole life, if you're a young person. For us oldies, we may have to do a bit more in terms of the taurine long term to maintain better gastrointestinal sort of functioning and all that, because we've probably sustained more issues over the long haul. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. See yous.